are lucky to have the kind of constitution we have. It's a very, if you look at some of the most progressive documents produced anywhere in the world in the 20th century, Indian constitution, maybe also the South African constitution, these are some of the most progressive documents produced by human beings. We are lucky that we have one such constitution. That's a book we would live on. But that does not save us from developing policy on specific things. We have to work hard on that. We will work on that. What do we have to offer to the youth? Look, for youth, I do not, there are two. One, we could of course talk about policy on employment and corruption in higher education, which is one of the worst things that is happening in the country right now. But I think this party should offer something more to the youth. It should offer them a chance to change this country. That's what we offer, more than anything else. More than any one particular benefit that we offer. Why should we assume that in order to speak to a Dalit, you have to offer a benefit to Dalit? To draw women to politics, you have to say we will give the following things to women and women only. Similarly, why should we do that to the youth? We should offer to everyone a chance to change this country and a contribution to that. There would be a specific policy, but I don't think that really matters. And my own sense is that youth are not drawn for what you offer to them in terms of benefits. They are drawn by what larger opportunity there is. We must visualize solutions, that is true, and that would be related to the policy domain that I've already spoken about. There are organizational questions. About rural-based worker, I've already said that's a deficit, we need to work on that. About structures that need to be evolved, yes, and I'm here precisely for that purpose, because Andhra Pradesh is one place where we do not even have an initial structure. So yes, we are in the process of putting together an organizational structure. When we have people who join training sessions, training them is of course one of the first things we need to do. For youth volunteers particularly, yes. And I've already shared my dream with you that for Indian youths living in cities and metros, for them to attach themselves to one village in this country for some time would be ultimate dream. If I was a dictator of this country for half a decade, I would allot random number to every youth in this country who studies in university and colleges. And each random number would be a number of a village. And we'll say for 6 months, go to this random number village, and then come back. Then we'll talk about India, we'll talk about 21st century, we'll talk about all these things. Once you've done that. On the name Aam Aadmi, I agree with what you said. I don't know which friend said that, but I agree, you said that. Yes, this is about language. Every word carries with it certain connotations and certain limitations. And the word Aam Aadmi, understood in a narrow sense, means common men. Men as in males of the species, excluding the female. But as you probably know, in Hindustani, at least in North India, this is not how the expression is used. I have personally heard lots of women saying, "Hamare jaise aam aadmi ko kuch milta nahi hai." Now this is about a language. The word has a restricted meaning, it has an expanded meaning. If I was given a child, and it is by usage that words acquire meaning. Words do not have a meaning in themselves. How you use them is how they acquire a meaning. If I had a chance, I would expand this word to mean Aam Aadmi, Aam Aurat, Antim Insan. So this party, if someone gave me a tagline for this party, I would say Aam Aadmi ki party, Aam Aurat ki party, Antim Insan ki party. The last person that Gandhi and Ambedkar spoke about. It should be their party. The difficulty is that Antim Insan is not an expression which ordinary people use every day. I can see that you come from some left background because you suggested Workers' Party. I will just make a small submission. Because I do come from somewhat similar background, may not be identical. We must see one point, that every generation finds new words for old dreams. You and I used to call something socialism. I also used to call it socialism. Today I do not insist on that word because I know the word is tainted today. It has been misused. Today those who want an egalitarian world will come up with a new expression. And the last thing you and I should do is to quarrel about words. We should allow my dreams to be expressed by someone else in a newer vocabulary. Having said that, I do realize that this expression Aam Aadmi has two limitations. What is most current in a certain part of India actually becomes a limitation in other parts of India. Now we live in a country where this is a basic limitation. A more Sanskritic expression would have taken you to Kerala, would work better in Kerala, would work much less in the rest of the country. So some compromise has to be struck somewhere. I would say, for all practical purposes, if we can give it a different name here and work with that name, and for legal purposes use this name, that's all right. It doesn't make a difference as long as we see the spirit of it. I do feel that in accepting this word, we have not done justice to the feminist sensibility. There is a difference between women's sensibility and feminist sensibility. I do not, from what I get from speaking to ordinary women, they do not feel excluded. But feminists feel that because the word, that for far too long, women saw themselves, women are victim of a certain language, which is a language of men created for men. And they have seen themselves under that umbrella. And by accepting that umbrella word, we have continued that practice. I think it's a fair charge. I would not wish to come up with a clever argument and say that this is wrong. It's a fair charge. I think there are limitations that we work with. But as I said, words can change their meaning. The word computer has nothing to do in our eyes today with a machine that calculates. Because the word in 20 years has changed its meaning. Can we change the meaning of this expression, Aam Aadmi, in such a way as to mean Aam Aadmi, Aam Order, Ante Insan?